In the dry sandhills of Florida's panhandle lives a shrewd and determined species of pine tree. Before European settlers, the species dominated much of the coastal and near coastal lands all the way from Virginia to Louisiana. Now, only 3% of longleaf pine forests remain preserved in rare spots like this in Florida. They are the pines that give birth to huge, huge cones. And they take 100 to 150 years to reach maturity. They live up to 500 years. Even up to their teenage years, longleaf pine trees might still be in their grass stage, and they resemble a fountain of green needles more so than a mighty pine. When they were logged, they were replaced with faster growing pine trees. But longleaf pines have some superpowers the others don't. Longleaf pines are resistant to fire. In fact, they need fire to flourish. And they can withstand hurricane force winds. Longleaf pines have evolved and adapted for the long haul of their environment. Now, other pines may grow faster, but have not evolved to endure the wild winds and lightning fires of Gulf storms. Whereas with other species, whole forests might snap and break from the pressure of such storms. Not so with longleaf pines. The tree will survive the heaviest and no tree will survive the heaviest and most extreme winds, but longleaf pines can take it more than any other. Take a look at a forest of longleaf pines after a hurricane hits, and you might see them bent over a little bit, but alive with life. Their thick branches and long waxy needles don't break in the strong winds, but really it is their deep, deep and very large taproot which serves as a sturdy anchor during the wild winds of storms. Now, all trees have big, spreading, deep roots, but nothing quite like this. Below each longleaf pine is what looks like a giant carrot. Just think of the carbon storage there. Now, there are very real storms threatening our very existence. It's not news to us that the oceans are becoming hotter, hatching stronger and more frequent hurricanes. We are all facing the reality that climate change is not just a future fear, but a present problem. If you'd followed the news the last few weeks, you know exactly what I mean. Homes shattered and debris scattered in Louisiana, flooding in the cities of New York and Philadelphia, death in the basements, blood in the rivers. This past summer, some parts of Germany got so much rain, whole towns were swept away. If Germany is not prepared for climate change, who is? After one of the hard rains of the summer in July, it was difficult to drive to my house because the street in front of my house was flooded. I told one of my neighbors that Canton is not prepared for climate change. I got a laugh in response. And they talked about how the village changed to more efficient streetlights. They didn't get the immediacy of climate change. Now we find ourselves in the midst of weathering the fourth wave of this pandemic. Months ago, we thought we wouldn't have another tidal surge like this. We are in a storm we wish would pass. The ritual of church, of simply assembling, has been disrupted once again. And the wildfires, the tornadoes in Afghanistan, despair sets in much too easily these days. Despite all of these storms, we can be like the longleaf pine, rooted and grounded, supple and flexible. We stay flexible by accepting that this church year is not what we thought it was going to be. We stay supple by admitting that many in our country refuse to participate in community health. Freedom and liberty does not mean the freedom to threaten the health of others. Despite the fact that we've been mandating vaccines for 100 years, the anti-vaxxer movement doesn't seem to be going away. And while some clergy are signing letters of religious exemption for vaccination, I will not be. Our religion is about a common good. In fact, the more people that gets vaccinated, the more freedom there will be. We stay supple by admitting, accepting, we are in the middle of this fourth wave of the pandemic, and it may get worse, or it may get better quickly. We just do not know. Regardless of community spread, we need to work through all the emotions to the pain of the storm. I think we have to strive to have a holistic view of public health, not just the virus, but guns, cars, other diseases, mental health, and our own spiritual health as well. We have to stay focused on all the risks that are out there. And as a faith community, we agree on many of the big things, but we do have different ideas on how to proceed, and the level of risk we are willing to take on varies between us. We may disagree about policies, yet we need not think alike to love alike. With the hurricanes of life and the anxious storms of reality, we can connect with that deep taproot within. Deep within the earth of us, there is a grounding that won't let us break. Call our taproots what you will, the peace that passes all understanding, God, the Tao, community, spirit, love, the spark of humanity, nature, mystery. There is something that each of us has that will guide us and ground us, that teaches the etiquette of softness and the curriculum of flexibility. In a word, it is faith. It is faith. We stay supple by connecting to the universal taproot of faith. With faith, we can flee the trappings of fear. The ancient wisdom of the Tao Te Ching tells us the truly living are supple. Because like it or not, circumstances are always and have always been changing, even 2,500 years ago when that text was written. So feed the taproot with nutrients of connection and with the watery softness of joy. Then we will see the large, mature cones of grace, patience, and peace. And the deep root we have within will allow us to bend, to weather the storms of life. As we let go of anxiety, hold tightly to compassion and lean into relationship with each other. May we be like longleaf pines, not invincible, but well adapted, grounded deep in the earth with weighty roots. Despite the wild storms, we can be serene and still. Despite the waves of active cases, we can be flexible and calm. Know the presence of your own pliability. And with the tenderness of new shoots, we can again become disciples of life. The soft and supple will prevail. We, rooted in the wholeness of spirit, will prevail through the wild waves of storm that crash and crush. The seas may rise, the storms may be more frequent, and we will bend, but never break. Amen, and blessed be.